The coffee cup shattered before anyone even realized what had happened. The sharp sound sliced through the hum of morning chatter, the clatter of forks, and the soft music from the old jukebox. The young waitress, barely 20, stood frozen, her trembling hands clutching an empty tray, eyes wide in disbelief. A red mark spread across her cheek where the slap had landed. The man who'd hit her, a large, arrogant customer in a leather jacket, smirked as if proud of what he'd done. The diner fell silent. No one moved. Not a word was spoken. If you believe in kindness, respect, and second chances, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel, because this story will remind you that goodness still lives among us, even when the world feels cruel. At that moment, sitting quietly in the corner booth, a man in his mid-30s set down his coffee. He had the kind of presence that didn't need words to command attention. Broad shoulders, worn jacket, calloused hands that spoke of both hardship and discipline. His name was Jack Carter, a single father, an ex-Marine, and a man who had learned to fight not for glory, but for what was right. Across from him sat his 7-year-old daughter, Lily, her small fingers wrapped around a pancake fork, her blue eyes watching the chaos unfold in frightened silence. Jack had come to this little roadside diner after picking Lily up from school. It had become their ritual, a Friday treat after a long week. The diner wasn't fancy, but the people were kind. Especially Emily, the young waitress now standing there, shaking, trying not to cry. She always saved an extra strawberry for Lily's pancakes, always greeted them with a smile that carried warmth, even when her eyes betrayed exhaustion. Jack had noticed that smile before. It was the kind that came from someone holding their pain just below the surface, hiding it behind politeness. The man who hit her, Ralph Henson, was a local troublemaker, a loudmouth who thought the world owed him respect. Everyone knew his type: big on attitude, small on empathy. He'd been complaining about his coffee being too cold, his bacon too crispy, his life too miserable. And when Emily apologized for the delay, trying to calm him down, he lost it. That's when his hand struck her face. The sound of it still echoed in Jack's mind. Before anyone else could react, Jack stood up slowly. The air seemed to change, growing heavy with tension. Ralph turned, sensing movement, and scoffed when he saw Jack. "What, you got something to say, old man?" he sneered. But Jack didn't speak. He simply walked toward Emily first, gently placing a napkin in her hand, his voice low but firm. "Are you okay?" She nodded, biting her lip, her eyes glistening. Then Jack turned to Ralph, and that's when everyone realized something was about to happen. Jack's face was calm, but his gaze was sharp as a blade. "You're going to apologize to her," he said quietly. Ralph laughed, taking a step closer. "And who's going to make me?" The next moment happened faster than anyone could see. Ralph reached out, trying to shove Jack's shoulder. But Jack moved like lightning, grabbing Ralph's wrist, twisting it just enough to drop him to one knee. There was no flashy violence, no unnecessary cruelty, just precision. The kind of precision that comes from training, from years of discipline and self-control. Ralph winced, his confidence evaporating as pain shot up his arm. Jack leaned close, his voice low and steady. "You don't hit people who serve you food. You don't hit people, period." When Jack released him, Ralph stumbled back, clutching his wrist, face flushed with embarrassment. The room remained dead silent. The other customers, truckers, locals, even the cook behind the counter, watched in awe. Ralph muttered something under his breath, but one sharp look from Jack sent him retreating toward the door. Before leaving, Jack called out, "Leave a tip on the table. You owe her that much." Shaking, Ralph dropped a few crumpled bills and stormed out. The door slammed behind him, and for a moment, only the sound of Emily's uneven breathing filled the room. Emily tried to apologize, whispering that she didn't want trouble, but Jack shook his head. "You didn't do anything wrong," he said gently. "No one should treat you like that." His daughter, Lily, stood beside him now, holding her father's hand, looking up at Emily with big, concerned eyes. "Are you okay, miss?" she asked softly. Emily smiled through her tears and nodded. Something about that small act of kindness, the innocent worry of a child, seemed to break whatever wall Emily had been holding up for months. The diner slowly returned to its rhythm, though the atmosphere was changed. The cook brought out a fresh plate of pancakes on the house. The other customers offered supportive words, and Emily, still shaken, found herself overwhelmed not just by fear, but by gratitude. Jack and Lily stayed a little longer, making sure she was steady. When they finally left, Emily whispered, "Thank you." Jack just smiled and replied, "Just take care of yourself." But that wasn't the end. Over the following weeks, Emily's life took unexpected turns. The incident had gone viral. Someone had recorded the confrontation, and within days, people online were calling Jack a hero. Yet Jack didn't care for the attention. He'd been a soldier long enough to know that real heroes didn't look for cameras. They acted when it mattered. Still, Emily found herself deeply changed. For the first time in years, she felt seen, not as a struggling waitress or a girl who'd lost her parents too young, but as someone worth standing up for. She started rebuilding her life. She enrolled in night classes to study nursing, something she had once dreamed of before life got in the way. She worked double shifts, saved every dollar, and slowly began to smile again. Real smiles this time, not the ones she forced for tips. Every time Jack and Lily came to the diner, she'd greet them warmly, their bond growing stronger. Lily adored her, often drawing pictures for her or asking her to sit with them on breaks. Jack tried not to notice how Emily's kindness reminded him of his late wife, gentle, patient, resilient. But deep down, he couldn't deny it. One rainy evening months later, Jack got a call. It was Emily. Her voice trembled, not from fear but from emotion. She had just passed her final nursing exam. "I just wanted to thank you," she said. "That day, if you hadn't stood up for me, I don't think I'd ever have believed in myself again." Jack chuckled softly. "You did all that yourself," he told her. "I just reminded you that you could." And in that moment, she realized something profound. Sometimes, a single act of courage, a single moment of kindness, can alter the entire direction of someone's life. The slap that humiliated her had become the spark that reignited her strength. The stranger who defended her had become the proof that good people still existed in a world that often forgot compassion. As the years passed, Emily became a registered nurse working at a nearby hospital. Jack continued raising Lily, teaching her the values he lived by: kindness, courage, respect. And though life remained full of challenges, one truth stood strong: goodness echoes. One good act creates another and another until it changes everything around it. Years later, when Jack was injured in a car accident, it was Emily, now Nurse Emily, who stood by his hospital bed, holding his hand as he recovered. Life had come full circle. And as Lily, now a teenager, thanked her with tears in her eyes, Emily whispered, "Your dad saved me once. Now it's my turn to take care of him." Life has a way of weaving people together through moments of pain and grace. That day in the diner was more than just a confrontation. It was a crossroads for three lives. A broken waitress found strength, a widowed veteran found hope, and a little girl learned that real heroes aren't found in comic books. They're the ones who choose kindness when it's hardest.